Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Asad Hashim Ali back again with another episode of Behind the Grind. This time it's a monologue and it's episode number 9. It's been quite a while since I did a monologue, so since I've been releasing an episode or trying to release an episode every week, I thought might as well let this week be a little monologue. So I'm trying to stick to the routine of releasing an episode every Wednesday, and let's hope that it sticks to that. This one's coming out over the weekend, but rest assured, there should be an episode coming out the following Wednesday. Now, today, what I wanted to talk about actually was something which is very close to me, which is backspace. For those of you who know me, you know that I am in love with what I do. I just love working at whatever occupation I'm at that time. I love the process. I love putting in the hours. I love trying to grow and excel at whatever I do. Not to compete with anyone else, but merely to compete with myself, to stand out and to prove to myself that, yeah, I really can do this and I can accomplish something. So I thought that I'd actually spare some time to share some thoughts, to share some lessons about what I've learned about quote-unquote entrepreneurship right now. I don't want to come across as a preachy little businessman for those of you who are new to this channel, but I thought that I should actually share some lessons about running a business during COVID, some lessons which I learned, especially during COVID, during this pandemic. Unfortunately, we're still in lockdown, we're still quarantining ourselves, we're still social distancing ourselves, and it's not fun to say the least, but it definitely is very, very interesting to see also, not just from a business perspective, but also from a personal perspective. I often catch myself wondering, what is time going to be like when things go back to a new form of normal? Are we going to be wearing masks regularly? Are we still going to just, elbow each other to say hi instead of shaking hands? Or are we going to go back to hugging and high-fiving each other and, being in a closed space without a mask? Who knows? But let's come back to the topic at hand. Um, Before I do get into it, actually, I want to share with everyone that these are my personal opinions. These are my personal lessons. I'm not trying to say that I've done any research on this. I'm not trying to say that I've asked a few people around about what they've learned. And I'm not trying to act as a source of information regarding this topic or regarding any kind of business conversation. I think I should be the last person you talk to about these things. But some lessons that I learned, which I think I'm going to keep with me for a while. Running a business, running Backspace during the time of a lockdown, during a lot of economic uncertainty. And this is something which no one taught me in school. Of course not. My parents couldn't have prepared me for this. They did prepare me for it in terms of raising me to become who I am. But of course, these times are new for every single person that is here in the world. So, lesson number one is ask for help. There's no shame in reaching out to people and asking for help. I've been told that many times because I'm someone who tends to not share my problems and not share my frustrations or not share anything that's bothering me with the people around me, just because I have this innate thing that I don't want to be a burden on anyone. We're not getting into what issues I might have, but there's no shame in asking for help. When the lockdown started around early March, and I had just come back from a little work trip to Dubai, and that's when we realized was that, oh shit, okay, global economies are now starting to shut down, markets are crashing, we don't know what's going to happen, we don't know what's going to happen to our cash flows, but what I did was that I reached out to some very dear friends of mine who also happened to be in the same working space and asked them for help in terms of guidance, in terms of trying to figure out that, dude, like, what do I do? Asking for help doesn't just necessarily mean that, I have a problem. Can you fix it for me? Can you solve it for me? Can you give me an instant solution? Asking for help literally can come down to just, I need some help. Can I talk to you? I just need someone to talk to right now. And the same way we're told that about, we treat our friendships like that. We've got these certain few people in our lives that we go to in dark times and in upsetting times, and we reach out to them, and that's what makes us closer. I think the same applies in this business world also, is that if you feel that you're stuck, if you can't navigate the waters that are ahead, it's okay to pause and take a breather and to just literally ask for help. So this is actually a reminder to myself, a constant reminder to myself that I keep in the forefront is that I've got a partner who's got loads of experience, who is a solid human being, and is constantly teaching me something new every single day. So what I need to do is also, this is a note to myself, is that to just pause. If you feel stuck, speak up, raise your hand, ask for help, send that message, send that voice note, and don't worry about it. You know, there's no harm in reaching out to anybody, because if you're true to yourself, you're going to do the same thing for someone else. It's not about returning a favor, but it's literally about being there for someone when they need you as well, in the same way you wish you had other people around you. So, yeah, that's lesson number one for me. Which brings me to lesson number two, and that is to be brave. Why do I say be brave? When the lockdown happened, when COVID became a pandemic, um, no one knew what's going to happen, right? We didn't know that it was going to be a matter of life and or death. We didn't know that it was going to be a shutdown of economies. We didn't know that it lead up to, globally 30 million plus job losses and X amount of potential revenue stopping for people and for businesses. And let's get away from the money conversation. We didn't know that families would be broken because of this. And what do you do when you don't know about what you see ahead? Is, along with asking for help, is reminding yourself that it's okay to be ambiguous about a certain situation. It's okay to not have an answer, but with that, it's to remind yourself to be brave, is that I don't have an answer today, but I will definitely figure out how to solve this tomorrow. I will definitely figure out how to get out of this sticky situation tomorrow or day after. But you have to have the confidence within yourself. You have to be brave and courageous enough to see that problem face to face, tackle it, and sort it out. Now, for those of you who know me personally or and have seen me over the past 5 to 6 years, you know that I've been through some sticky shit, and you know that I've had to, tackle very uncomfortable situations face first, first hand, all by myself. There were few people supporting me, yes, but I had to tackle that. I had to navigate those waters alone, and I couldn't have done that without being brave. If I didn't have that confidence within myself that I am strong enough to overcome this obstacle, I don't think I would have been able to. And yeah, most of that, I'm not going to lie, most of that courage came from the people around me who had that faith in me. But that same lesson, which I learned a few years ago, is even more relevant today also, is about bravery. And with bravery comes self confidence, comes this gangster level of self confidence, which you just have to have. Um, I know, for example, is that God forbid something happens to Backspace, I have five different ways to overcome those obstacles, or I have five ways to change the outcomes. Some solutions might take longer to implement, some might not, but I have to be brave enough to be able to accept it, be level-headed about it, and not get thrown off tracks. So that's point number two for me: is to be brave. It's okay to be uncertain, and just accept the ambiguity. Which now brings me to lesson number three, which is also another lesson which I've spoken about in the past on the monologue and on the podcast as well, is to be patient. But this time, it's not just to be patient, it's also to be nimble, it's to be agile. Remind yourself that there's no rush to reach the end goal, there's no rush to reach your goals or to reach whatever you choose to accomplish, and the path can keep changing. Your road is going to keep changing every single day or every single week, or after every single milestone. You might come across a new juncture which you don't know if you should go left or right, or if you should turn around and take a u-turn and try to realign yourself. But you have to be patient with yourself. That's the lesson over here, is that in business also, don't rush it. That's what I've personally seen, is that if I was to make a hard and fast rule or a hard and fast decision, especially in times like these, I might not be able to fix that, or I might have to um, go through some more troubles before I can start seeing the green again, before I can start seeing the greener pastures, that is. So being patient and being nimble, I think, is something which I've learned over here during these times. We had to change our entire business model my partner and I have had multiple conversations about how we want to change the way we work. Um, and we haven't had these many conversations about the way we want to work when we were in a physical space pre-COVID, in the previous normal. And it's interesting to see because now we're getting that opportunity to zoom out a little bit and to analyze what is the new world going to look like. It gives us an opportunity to forecast and say, okay, this is how we want to be positioned in this new world, or this is how we want Backspace to work in this new world. So, and then realigning our route, right? Realigning our path to where we want to go. I think that's very important. But again, like you can't do that unless you're not patient with yourself and with your business, because you have to go through a certain process. You have to go through a certain grind. Um, Plans are meant to change, right? There's a newsletter which I follow by Google, in which marketers and CEOs and executives from all around the world have spoken about that, especially, and this came up during Ramzan, was that marketing plans and sales plans for Ramzan was something else before COVID, and it had to flip over completely, not knowing how are we gonna have Eid sales and how are we gonna do, how are we gonna have a successful e-commerce launch during a COVID Eid, basically, right? And yeah, so accept the fact that you have to be nimble, you have to be flexible as well, and be patient in the long term. Keep thinking, don't think about what's happening tomorrow. Think about how do you want this to end up 5 years from now or 3 years from now, and play the long game. That's pretty much it. So that's lesson number three: play the long game, be patient, be nimble. So yeah, now that brings me to number four. Number four is appreciate the micro wins. Appreciate the micro wins, accept the losses, and cherish the losses, actually. Celebrate them. Write them down somewhere. Remind yourself is that during this time, this is what I had to do. And don't celebrate it as in, like, if you were in the West, then go to the bar or go to the club or something like that. But what I mean is that remind yourself is that that's a loss that you had to go through. And this is why it happened, and figure out that how it could have been flipped, um, and appreciate the micro wins. Give yourself that motivation that you need. Appreciate the hard work that you're putting in, because and that those micro wins are happening because of the hard work that you put in. This is a lesson which I learned recently, was that after looking at how well my team has been doing, and just looking at how they've evolved over these times and how they've grown. Moreover, the work that they've been putting in, the quality of work has been great. But what I love seeing is how they are as individuals and how this relationship has formed amongst us. And that for me is a major win. Yeah, unfortunately, setting a culture when you're working remotely is a little hard and it's a little difficult. But what's great to see is that we have got to know each other. We've got to know each other in a more personalized manner, and I think that's a big win. And some might consider that to be a small win, but whatever you see as a win, appreciate it and remind yourself of that, and be proud of yourself for that. And when you see the losses, it's okay. Don't get bogged down by that. That's why you got to appreciate even the smallest of wins that you can, and tread through these difficult times, because we don't know when it's going to end. Right? That's the reality of things. We don't know how long the pandemic is going to go on for. We don't know how far we can go like this. But what we definitely know is that we have to salvage whatever we can, not just for our own physical well-being, our health, but also for our mental well-being, for our emotional well-being as well. And one thing I know is that, well, for me personally, um, reminding myself of the good times is always great for my morale. And seeing how I came out of tricky situations also pumps me up. That also motivates me as well. Seeing the scars, that's always fun. So learning to appreciate the micro wins, cherishing the losses. That's point number four. Let's get into point number five. Lesson number five is, which I've said before, is empathy above all else. If you follow Backspace on LinkedIn or on our website or on Facebook or Instagram, You'll find us talking about empathy in the workplace. You'll find us talking about empathy with our team, empathizing with each other, understanding one another, putting ourselves in each other's shoes, and that's what our leadership style is like. That's what our culture is like. That's what we really want to do. We want to make sure is that we understand what we're going through. I want to know what is in one of my team members' heads, what's going on in their heads, what's going on in their homes, just so that I know how hard they need to be pushed, or how hard I need to hold on to them. And when I say hold on to them, I mean literally imagine that they just need to hold my hand to feel comforted. And do I just give them one hand, or should I give them both hands? Because I'm always ready to do that, and that matters so much to me. The people in our team are our backbone, and empathizing with them is even more important. Yes, at times, you tend to forget that, and everyone's human at the end of the day. Emotions do take the worst of you, do take over you, but it's very, very important for you to be able to empathize with your team. In our business, also, because we're in the service sector, what I also learned was to empathize even more with my clients, seeing that their businesses might actually unfortunately have to shut down, or that they don't see any cash coming in, they don't see any revenue coming in, so they can't really be thinking about branding or marketing or advertising at this point in time. They can't really think about communicating if they don't know what words to say, because they're so worried, they're so caught up, and they're so worried thinking about how are they going to make ends meet, not just for their teams but also for themselves, right? This is what I think we all need to remember, and what we need to, when you come into this, I feel that when I came into this role and when I made backspaces, when I started realizing was that, okay, it's not all about like, do your own business and have your own startup, and that's how you create an independent source of income. That, I think that's all bullshit. Because what became a very big factor for me to keep in mind, and that kept motivating me throughout and still motivates me, is how am I going to meet payroll? Because I know the amount of lives which are attached to my business. I know how many people's households run because of the business that Backspace does. And when I and I accept that responsibility. At the end of the day, this is my business and I work for my people. I work for my team. I need to make sure that they feel as safe and secure as possible. And during the lockdown, I started realizing that about my clients also. Is that I always had it. We love forming relationships and bonds with our clients, and we work with a very select few people. So we really do give a big shit about who our clients are, and we give an even bigger shit about um, what's going on in their lives, and if there's any way in which we can help them. For us, it's about forming partnerships, about forming long-term relationships, and empathizing with them, it was something that I kept in the forefront, and which is still in the forefront now when it comes to any idea. Now I'm always thinking about that. What is it that client A needs or client B needs, or if I see something online that's like, oh, this could actually fit in for client C, and my mind doesn't stop. Not to say that I didn't think like this before, but it's a lesson now which I feel that needs to go down in the books, is that empathy above all else, um, with the clients, with your team, and also with yourself. Remember is that you got to take care of yourself also. So don't be too hard on yourself as well. Um, take those little breaks you need. Be human and be vulnerable. I think that being vulnerable is such a great act, especially with your team, because they're looking to you for as a source of guidance, um, and they're looking to you to solve their problems, and sharing with them that you too are human will only make your relationship stronger, I feel. Of course you don't want to be complaining constantly, but and so I don't think that anyone who heard this took this the wrong way either, but be human. Allow people to see that you too are human. And everyone's in this together. You're the one who's manning the ship, you're the captain of the ship right now, uh, but even the captain is a human being, right, who sometimes needs to let the co-captain step in and take control while they take a little rest and a breather. Which brings me to the final point, the final lesson of what I have learned from business during COVID, which is keeping gratitude alive. If you know me, if you've been, or if you know me and you haven't heard these podcasts before, if you listen for the first time, or if you don't know me, well, whatever. This is something that I really, really do believe in. Is to practice gratitude. Is to be grateful each and every single day for what you have and for what you have been given and for what you have achieved and for what adversaries you have been through, for whatever hardships you have been through. Be grateful for that as well. We tend to only think about that I'm grateful for the food that's on the table, or I'm grateful for the roof that's above my head. But if you also remind yourself to be grateful for the opportunity that you have right now and that you have been given, and if you remind yourself to be grateful for the friends that you have and for the setting you are in right now, even if you remind yourself to be grateful for the fact that you get to listen to this podcast because there's someone in the world who doesn't even have access to the things you have access to, your life might just change altogether. Every morning I wake up and I remind myself to be grateful. I wake up and I say thank you. I say thank you to the world. I say thank you to the guy upstairs. I say thank you to anyone and everyone, all with a simple phrase, right? Um, and that's what fuels me. When I feel down under the dumps, I feel that I need to remind myself to be grateful again, because that is where my I feel that my true source of inspiration comes from. That's where my motivation comes from, to keep going that extra mile and to keep moving inch by inch by inch. Even when I don't have the energy, I remind myself is that I still practice gratitude even when I'm completely burnt out. And I'm not trying to say the amount of times that I say I'm grateful, or I'm not trying to say how often I practice gratitude. But what I am trying to say is that it's something that we need to remind ourselves and to keep bringing to the forefront of our own morals and our own principles and our own values, because that's what I feel is what's really missing. Um, it's a beautiful thing, being grateful for the relationships, for the articles, for articles as in the materials that you have in your lives, and also for the and especially for the intangibles that are in your life. Um, and that's what's kept me going. And when each day ends, I remind myself and I think about all the great stuff that's happened in that day, even if it was just one little teeny tiny thing. But I especially remind myself is that I'm just grateful to get the opportunity to still work with the same people that I was working with before this pandemic started. I'm grateful for the fact that we're all in this together and we're all fighting this together. Um, and that's a huge source of inspiration for me. And that keeps fueling me every single day, I feel. Times are tough, and practicing gratitude, I feel, has never failed me. And I feel that's something that you'll be hearing a lot more from me. You know, this isn't the last time I'm gonna say it, and I'm in this for the long game. I'm in this for the long haul. So keeping gratitude alive. That's lesson number 6. These were 6 lessons from my end that I've learned from running a business during COVID. I thought that it was necessary for me to talk about this only because it's been around 4 months now, I believe, going on to 5 months of the pandemic in hitting Pakistan, of the lockdown being in Pakistan, of Backspace working from home. We started off in March, so that's March, April, May, June, July, 5th month started. March 18th was when we went remote. I'm recording this on July 18th. It's a wonderful time to be alive. It's a very interesting time to be alive. And these lessons, I think, are lessons which are going to stay with me for quite a while. I don't think I'm going to forget these. And I hope that this helped you also. I hope that if you are running your own small business, then these 6 lessons are lessons which A, you've thought about and which you cherish as well and you agree with, or B, uh, you didn't think about and now you do. And I hope that they give you some value and they help you in some way or the other. If anything, it's a big struggle that we have to go through, especially with ourselves. It's a constant battle, whether you're fighting the health crisis or you're fighting your own mind. Um, just got to remind ourselves to be human, to give ourselves a little break, and to keep moving forward. Take a breather, go slow, go fast if you like, but just remember is that, the past is in the past. You got to keep moving forward. You have a goal, you have a dream, you have a desire, Go out and achieve it. No one can stop you from it. Not a pandemic, not a health crisis, not anybody, not your mom, not your dad, not your partner. No one can stop you. Go out, get it, solve it, achieve it, do whatever you want, but keep moving forward. So, here it is, episode number 9 of Behind the Grind. I feel like the way I was talking right now was a little new, was a little interesting. I'm doing a monologue from home without the camera, so if you don't like it, forgive me. But if you stuck through this, do share this with people. Spread the word. Tell people this is what Asad Hashmali said. You know, let them know Behind the Grind is not stopping. Come back every week, every Wednesday, a new episode with either myself or a guest. I'm gonna try and keep it every Wednesday. If not every Wednesday, forgive me. I too am human. Haha. But till the next one, everybody, take care, peace out, and bye bye.